I'm a guy who likes beer, and when the opportunity came up to visit Magpie Brewery in Jeju, I was frothing with excitement. Get it? Frothing? Like beer? Anyway, if you drink beer and you've been to Korea, you might have come across Magpie Beer. They're like one of the OGs of craft beers here in Korea. And if you ask me, they've got some pretty cool designs too. Due to unfortunate timing, I wasn't actually able to be there to experience the whole process of beer making, but head brewer Ethan was generous enough to give us the grand tour and talk us through the process of how beer is made. And it starts here with the raw ingredients, more specifically malted barley, which is barley grains left to sprout, and in the sprouting process, the enzyme amylase is produced, which converts starches into fermentable sugars. That malted barley is roughly ground in this machine here and transferred across the brewery in this flexible auger pipe all the way to this big tank here that has sort of a sieve false bottom. Now to get that amylase in the malted barley to work, it's got to be mixed with water and held at a very specific temperature, around 70 degrees Celsius. And this tank here is where that happens. Filtered water already at temperature gets pumped in at the same time as the milled barley through this pipe, which is a pretty cool way of ensuring all the grain is soaked. All the while, this giant paddle inside spins and mixes everything together. The liquid gets recirculated and pumped back over the top of the mixture through this little tank here, and it's pretty cool. You can see how the color and clarity changes over time. This is about as far of the process that I was able to watch, but let me walk you through the rest the best I can. So what is basically the malted barley liquid is called the wort, and that wort is pumped over to the second tank where it's boiled in order to denature all that amylase, stopping it from converting more starch into sugar. Some hops are added at this stage, but mostly for bitterness. Then that wort is piped through to this third tank, which is designed to sort of whirlpool inside, which makes it easier to collect any solids in the wort. The wort is left to cool and some more hops are added once cooled, and these hops are more for the flavor. Some more ingredients such as yeast nutrient is added to the wort before being transferred over to these huge fermenters. And this is where the yeast gets added to the cooled off wort and fermentation happens. And you can see just how much fermentation is happening in one of these tanks here. After fermentation is done in these tanks, they're cold crashed, which just means making cold enough to stop activity and allow all the solids to settle at the bottom. All that now alcoholic but non-carbonated beer is carefully transferred to these tanks to be carbonated. And after being carbonated in these tanks, the beer is kegged or canned, labeled, and sent off to be enjoyed by me. My favorite Magpie beers so far are this Ghost Sour beer and this bubble tea inspired Earl Grey tea beer. But big shout out to Magpie Brewery for letting me explore the brewery and stick my phone in their big tanks. If you're here in Korea and you see this little logo on a beer can, be sure to try it out now that you know how it's made.